Hello there everyone, it's Carol. Sorry about the phone being a bit wobbly. I'm holding it in my hand at the moment. I'm working on some journals at the moment here. I've got a load of half-made journals and I decided it was time to spend some time on finishing them off because they're kind of just sat there. And I'm going to have another auction on the Facebook group of some journals that I've finished off very soon. But I just wanted to show you what my workspace looks like. And I'm going to come back to these papers in a moment. But this is what my work desk usually looks like when I'm working. And this is it tidy. So normally when I do a video, I've got this beautifully clear work desk that you see, but that is the kind of mess that's normally off to the side. So, as you can see, a little bit of a mess. But the reason for the video is because I've been creating pages for these journals. I've got these strips left over. As you can see, I've been working on spring colours. So these are lovely, beautiful, hand-dyed with food colouring and some other bits of papers. But these are what I'd got left. And I was a little bit like, I don't just want to throw them away. I want to use them. So I'm going to make a quick video showing you what I'm going to do with these. So I'm going to go and set my phone up so that it's not all wobbly. And then show you what I'm going to do. See you back here in a second. So I've had a rummage in my scrap bag and I've got this piece of blue card that I'd obviously got left over from something that I was using. And as I say, I'm going to use these strips. I'm going to sit them on the diagonal. So the first thing that I want to do is sort of work out the width that I want to cut it. So as you can see from the diagonal here, if I sit one on, you can see that I need it to be that sort of width. So I'm just going to trim this down so that I've got one long piece to be working on. And all I'm basically going to do... Oh, actually, I need my trimmer for something else. Hang on. I've just remembered there was some scraps in here that needed trimming down a bit more. So I'm just going to trim these down as well. So we'll get rid of you. And I think we'll cut you not quite in half, but well, maybe in half. That was more luck than judgment. Get rid of you. So I want some different widths, so that's why I didn't want to just cut it in half. Okay, so now we've got some different size strips to work with. And all I'm basically going to do is I'm just going to get my collage glue out and slap some glue on. And I'm just going to do it diagonally for now. And then I'm just going to smear it about with my fingers a bit, because I want a starting point. So there's one. Put a bit more on. Doopy-doopy-doo. And then just randomly pick up bits of paper and just lay them side by side. Making sure that they're right butt up next to each other. Actually, I want to move that up a bit. Can you just see how that bit, look, that corner is still on the edge of the card. So I want to take it off the edge. So I need to move that up a bit. Okay. Push it down so that it meets up with the edge of the other paper. Let's go for one of them. And I'm trying not to think about it too much as to what I'm laying down where or what's next to each other. Making sure those corners are overhanging the edge. Some more glue. Spread it about a bit. So it's just a great way, instead of me throwing those away, of actually utilising them and doing something with them. Let's do this bottom edge. Some more glue. So I'm going to carry on doing this, and I'll be back in a bit to show you what it looks like when I've completely filled the piece. So I'll see you back here in a minute. So I've stuck all my pieces on. And as you can see, I actually had enough to make a second one as well. And I've still got a few bits left. And then obviously when I trim these down, there'll be some bits off these as well. So I've just let them dry, went off, made myself a cup of tea, as you do. So now I'm going to trim these down. So if I flip it over, I can now see the outline of the card, which makes it easier to trim off all those excess little bits and pieces. Now these I am not keeping. There does come a point where you're just like, there's only so much I can keep. So these little tiny pieces I will not be keeping. However, longer strips I will be keeping, because I'll go through and choose some more scraps of card that I've got and use up these last few pieces and the bits that I trim off from here. So like, I'll keep that bit, but these bits, they're going. So that's now what it looks like. And in fact, if I just trim off that bit there to just straighten that edge off, and that can go in the bin as well. So that's that one. And then with this one that looks nothing like anything, if I turn it over again, and in fact let me just separate so that I can save the longer strips. So you see, keep that, keep that, keep that. Keep that, chuck them. Oh, that sounds like a fire engine. Gosh, that's loud. Yep, fire engine going by. Because I live on a main road, we get the emergency services down here a lot. Okay. And that's what that one now looks like. Okay. Push them off to one side a minute. Now, what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to run this through the sewing machine, and with some straight stitching and zigzagging and I've got a couple of fancy stitches on mine, so nothing too, you know, too fancy. But I'm going to stitch down some of these papers. I'm not going to stitch down every single one, and I'm going to stitch, if I can show you up close, I'm going to stitch sort of across where the two papers meet, or maybe you can see it better on there, across where two papers meet, okay? Because as you might be able to see, some of them have got like little spaces where they've lifted up off the backing card a little, but it also just helps to make a little bit of a decorative edge. Now with this one, I could probably end up cutting it in two and making two long tags out of that. With this one, I might do the same actually. I might cut up the middle. Anyway, I'm going to go off and go and stitch these and then make them up into a tag, and so that you can see what the finished item looks like. So I'll go off and go and do that and have a sup on my tea, and I'll meet you back here in a minute. See you in a sec. I've finished stitching my two pieces together. So I'll give you a close-up of what it looks like. So you can see I've used zigzag stitch, straight stitch, a bit of a scallop stitch, some more straight stitching, zigzag big, and some zigzag small, scallop, straight stitching. Okay, so I've used a variety of different stitches, and then on the back, because I've used a blue thread, it kind of blends in a little bit more as well with the card. So that's what that piece looks like. Now, I often hear people saying when they're new to stitching on paper, do I need a special needle? No, you don't. So there are special needles for the likes of leather and chenille and all that sort of stuff. But in terms of paper, you can just use your bog standard needle that's in your sewing machine already. The only thing you need to be aware of, it's a little bit like having your paper scissors and your fabric scissors. The needle will get blunted stitching on paper. It takes a while, does take a while. So if you stitch on fabric as well, then you will need to swap out your needles. So keep one specifically aside for paper and keep another one specifically for fabrics to one side as well, so that you know you've got one for each job. Now the other piece, I've already cut it in half, and as you can see the stitches run off the edge of the card. All right, and obviously when I've cut it, I've cut through the stitches. So how do I prevent those stitches from unraveling? Well, it's not going to be perfect, and you're probably not going to be able to manage to do that, but that will be part of the makeup of creating this kind of tag with stitching on the paper. Now I've cut this one into a tag shape already, and as you can see, what I've actually done is I've zigzag stitched around the edge. So I've kind of sealed the edges of the papers that were stuck on, and I've also sealed the edges of the stitching that was going on there as well. So it's not a perfect, you know, way of preventing it from unraveling, but it'll be part of its beauty, I suppose, when, you know, the more you handle it, the more it's used over time, those stitches will start to come undone a little bit. You could, if you wanted to, paste a little bit of a clear PVA glue, a white glue, on the top, which will help to seal it a little bit, but obviously then it can be quite visible. But I wouldn't worry about it too much. And I think that sometimes with all of our crafting, we all worry a little bit too much about stuff. You know, does it look right? Is it right? Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I use this? Should I use that? But you can see that just from that little pile of scraps of paper that I can create something that's really quite beautiful. And I could then go and add some bits and pieces on top. Let me have a look and see what I've got off to the side here. Yeah, so that could go on there. You know, and you've created something then really unique. And then I could punch a hole at the top and add some seam binding or some fibres. Now, there's no reason why you can't do this with your fabrics as well. There's no reason why you can't do a mixture of fabrics and papers. But I just thought that these now, I haven't thrown these away. I've used them. I've created something really pretty with them. And these can actually go in with the journals that I've been making. So it all now mixes and matches together really, really well. That was it. Short video today. I hope it's given you a little bit of inspiration. Saves you on throwing your stuff away as well. Hope you have a go at doing it. And I'll see you all again really soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.